man. Let's look at the paramecium, the second organism. After looking at the amoeba, let's look at the paramecium. A paramecium is a structure like you see in the diagram. That is how a paramecium looks like. Now, what happens is that during feeding, there is a beating of the cilia that takes place as a current of water is drawn into the oral groove of the paramecium. This one enters with the food particles in it. Then at the end of the gullet of the amoeba, ingestion of food takes place. Now, when the ingestion of food has taken place, a food vacuole is formed, and this moves through a definite part. And of course, when digestion of that food particles has taken place, the nutrients are absorbed into the into the paramecium, sorry. And then the waste products can be eliminated. Now, one thing we said movement is by cilia. The beating of the cilia, those hairy structures, causes a movement of the amoeba, of the paramecium, sorry, into the front or forward position. Now, what happens is that egestion in a paramecium is not like in amoeba. In amoeba, egestion can take place at any point of the cell membrane. But in paramecium, egestion takes place at a single point near the ingestion point. Strictly one point, just like the anus in a mammal or in these other higher animals or higher organisms. Now, excretion of diffusion is of ammonia. Of course, happens through the cell membrane, because that one just depends on the concentration gradient. And then excess water is removed by the contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole is the one that collects water and then releases it outside. Now, we said reproduction is by binary cell division. One paramecium prepares itself and divides itself into two daughter parameciums. Economic importance. We said that the paramecium is a source of food to other aquatic organisms. So these organisms feed on the paramecium. It means that the paramecium contributes to the food chain, aquatic food chain. Economic importance of trypanosomes. This is another section. We have this being a parasite that causes disease. That is an economic importance. And of course, one of the diseases caused is Nagana in cattle. And we also have sleeping sickness in man. And then transmission of that is always by the tsetseflies. So that's why we always try to control tsetseflies, because they can be carrying this trypanosome that can cause these diseases. Now, there's also a plasmodium that causes malaria, is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. We shall look at this in details when we reach the part of looking at the mosquito in general. And then we have phylum Platyhelminths, which we have the flatworms. Now these ones have these characteristics here. They are flat-bodied organisms. They have flat bodies, and then they are parasitic. That means they feed and depend on a host. Okay? And then they are hermaphrodite. What means here is that they have two sexes. They are both male and female. And this one always aids them in having faster reproduction and more reliable. They don't need to look for a mate. And this is further subdivided into three classes. And you have the Tabellaria, which are carnivorous flatworms, like the planarian. This one usually stays in water during day and then comes out at night to feed. And then we have the Tromatoda. This one can be endoparasites or ectoparasites. Like we have the Fasciola hepatica. This is the liver fluke and is found in the liver. And then we also have the blood fluke, which causes bilharzias. Okay? You must have seen the liver flukes. They always kill animals because they cause a lot of disaster in the liver. Now, what happens is that we are going to look at the life cycle of the blood fluke, because you can be asked to give the life cycle of a blood fluke, and in the diagram you can clearly see it and you can study it carefully, and then you learn what happens at a specific stage. let's look at the economic importance. Economic importance, liver fluke causes liver diseases. These animals reproduce in the liver, clog the liver, and then they cause liver-related diseases, including blockages. And then you have blood fluke, which causes bilharzia. Now, the third segment, after looking at the Tabularia, the Trematoda, the third subclass of the plant helminths is the Castoda, which we have the tapeworms. Now, these ones are endoparasites in the alimentary canal of vertebrates. Now, what happens is that these ones lack a digestive system. They feed by absorbing nutrients directly into their body. And then they are ribbon-like with distinct head. Their head is distinct. They are ribbon-like. You know what a ribbon is? A flat structure. And then they have many segments called proglottis. And in each proglottis is hermaphrodite. That means it has both sexes, both male and female, and can reproduce. When it gets cut off, it can reproduce and form a new organism. And then another thing is that of course, I said they lack a digestive system, and then they lack any means of locomotion. They do not need to move looking for food. Once they're in the alimentary canal, food finds them there. The only thing they do is to wait for you to digest them, and for them, they absorb, and then they survive. There are two types of these tapeworms. We have the Taenia solium and then the Taenia saginata. And the life cycle of a tapeworm occurs in two stages. There is the one which occurs in a man, and then the one that occurs in the pig, as you can see in the diagram there. Now, why don't we look at the harmful effects? If you want to study the diagram carefully, you can pause the video and study that diagram, but let's look at the harmful effect of the tapeworms. Now, tapeworms are parasites. That means that they cause harm or injury to other organisms that they inhabit. If they are inside your stomach, they cause harm to you. And then they block intestine, causing constipation. When these organisms reproduce, multiply, they fill up the stomach and then they clog it. Clogging is blocking, so there can be, they can limit passage of material or food, and then they bring other problems in the alimentary canal. Now, since they deprive you of your hard-earned nutrients, you're going to look for food, you cook your food, eat it comfortably, and then they don't give you the joy of enjoying the nutrients. So at the end of the day, you get anemia, less blood. You see, that is very bad. Now, how do we control them since they are this disastrous to us? One of the ways is a proper disposal of feces. You need to use a latrine. You need to wash your hands to make sure that you are not contaminated. And then you eat well-cooked food, usually so much pork and meat. Beef should be well-cooked so that if they were in that meat, they can die. Then we have proper sanitation, of course, washing your hands with soap. Corona period has taught people to wash their hands with soap for 20 seconds. You can continue with that even when Corona gets over. Now, regular deworming. You need to continuously take, periodically, not continuously, take tablets that can kill these organisms in the alimentary canal so that they don't deprive you of your nutrients, that your hard-earned nutrients. Then let's look at the dangers. Do you know that these organisms also face dangers, just like you're facing dangers? And one of the dangers they face is failure to find a host. If they fail to find a host, they die. Another failure is the failure to penetrate a host. They can actually get a host and they say, oh, he's there, but then they fail to penetrate and enter into the host because they are supposed to be in the alimentary canal, and that is a failure to them. And then there's failure to defend itself from the the host defense mechanism. Usually our bodies have a way of protecting us from any foreign particle that enters. Now when this organism, the tapeworm, enters your body, the body is going to act against it and eliminate it from the body. And now that one can lead to their death, and that is a problem right there to them. And then we also have adaptations that these tapeworms have to survive. And I can just hint a few, but this one is supposed to be your assignment that you're supposed to go and do. the adaptation. Since there is a host immune system acting on it, it has to have a lot of mucus covering it, so that as it passes through your alimentary canal, it is not touched by the enzymes. Remember, even you yourself, your stomach lining is protected by mucus, so that your enzymes does not digest you. So they also have a lot of mucus covering them, so that they don't get digested. Another thing is that all useless structures, like the limbs and so forth, are eliminated from them. In this way, they stay and just focus on one thing, feeding and reproducing. Another thing is that they are flat and very long to increase the surface area for absorption of the food material. Another point is that, another adaptation is that they have segmented bodies, and these segmented bodies, called proglottids, are actually hermaphrodite. That means just one piece breaks off and can reproduce into a full tapeworm, among others that you're going to look at. But don't forget that they have attachment organs that helps them attach to the alimentary canal of an organism. Thank you. So we are looking at phylum Nematoda. This is